Hello, and welcome to SEO 101 on WMR.FM, episode number 475. My name is Scott Van Ack, and I'm the senior SEO at Stepforth. And I'm running solo today as my co-host Ross is away on holidays. And yes, he does get vacation sometimes, although maybe we'll have to put an end to that if this does not go very well. This is my first ever solo show. I have to admit it's exciting, but a bit intimidating to do this alone. I have nobody to fall back on if I screw up. So hopefully that doesn't happen and this goes well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through like we normally do and dive into the non-SEO news. So on August 14th, the FTC has banned fake reviews. This is good, of course, especially if you follow the rules, which I think all of our listeners follow the rules, and all of our clients certainly do. The FTC chair, Linda Kahn, said, fake reviews not only waste people's time and money, but also pollute the marketplace and divert business away from honest competitors. By strengthening the FTC's toolkit to fight deceptive advertising, the final rule will protect Americans from getting cheated, put businesses that unlawfully game the system on notice, and promote markets that are fair, honest, and competitive, which is great, obviously. There are a lot of people out there that cheat. They do specifically mention Americans because you can't necessarily apply this globally, but hopefully this will be a good start. Amazon especially is terrible for fake reviews. I mean, you can tell they're just so incredibly obvious. Obviously, there are going to be a lot of fake reviews on Google and everywhere else as well. So hopefully this will help curb that a little bit. This new ruling prohibits the following: fake and false consumer reviews, testimonials, and celebrity testimonials. Fake celebrity testimonials, that is. Buying positive or negative reviews, something, of course, we've never condoned and always sort of said to stay away from buying reviews. Insider reviews, so those would be reviews from staff, agents, business management, your family members reviewing your business. Review suppression. This prohibits businesses from using threats or intimidation to prevent or have a negative review removed. And I actually had a personal experience with this one time with a business, and I left a really bad review, and it kind of got nasty. And I hate to admit that they won, and I removed the review. In hindsight, I wish I hadn't removed it, but it was a really bad experience with a certain local business. I left the bad review. I was very specific, and it was a legit, real negative review. And then they left a bad comment on the review, and they contacted me personally by email and started harassing me. And I should not have caved, but I did. And this bans that behavior. So, hopefully, in hindsight, I don't ever do that again, but hopefully this sort of helps prevent that from happening to others. This was a while ago as well, when maybe I was a bit more naive. And then there's also the prevention, or they prohibit selling or buying fake indicators of social media influence. So followers, views generated by bots, hijacked accounts, that sort of thing. So Greg Sterling actually posted to X. He said, the new FTC rule banning fake reviews and testimonials will help address review fraud, but there's no liability or formal obligations for Google, etc. This means platform enforcement will remain sporadic and piecemeal, probably business as usual. And I sort of see that as well. I don't think anything's really going to change unless a big player is spamming with fake reviews. I mean, if you're a small mom and pop shop and you're getting your family to leave reviews and you're buying fake reviews, and unless someone reports you and really tries to crack down on that, I don't think we'll really see much happen. Now, if a big corporation or a big company does this and engages in massive review development through fraud, essentially fake reviews, we might see something come of this. So, it's good. I think this is a good thing to have in place, and hopefully it'll help even the playing field, at least in the long term, if not short term. All right. And then this next little thing is interesting. Let's just dive into it. Google doesn't technically follow links. Okay. So it extracts links and it collects and checks later. So I knew this. I've known this for a long time, that Google doesn't actually follow link to link to link and essentially spider, like say something like Screaming Frog would do. That said, we always sort of say Google follows links. But what they actually do is a little bit different. Google finds links on a page, it collects those links, and then goes back and individually crawls the data on those pages at a later time. So this is actually quite often why you will see in Google Search Console discovered, not crawled in some of your reports. These are pages that Google has found, but they haven't actually crawled them. They found the links to those pages elsewhere, but they haven't come back and actually looked at them and analyzed and indexed and crawled them yet. So often if you see in discovered, not crawled, that's why they just haven't gotten to it yet. And we're actually going to talk a little bit more about that later. Martin Splitt did a podcast about discovered, not crawled. So we'll get back to that. And so just a little bit of terminology, so you can be on top of it and be accurate. And now for some SEO news. I actually have quite a bit of SEO news today, which is kind of fun. We have in August, another core update is rolling out. It's been a few months since the last core update. Typically, we don't worry too much about the core updates in terms of, what to report on them in SEO 101 because it's kind of all the same. They're not usually loaded with big aha moments or anything like that. But this one, a few things worth mentioning at least. This one was released on August 15th. It is rolling out as of this recording still. It is expected to last a couple more weeks, probably until the end of August. And John Mueller had actually posted to LinkedIn. He said, "You really need to wait until the core update finishes rolling out to make any call about its effect. That's not to say you should wait with working on your website. It's just if you want to compare before versus after, waiting for it to be finished is important." And, Ross and I say this all the time, especially when core updates are underway. Don't react to anything until it's done because it could be better at the end. If you see something drop mid-update, it could be better than it was before when the update's completed. You really don't want to mess that up. That said, if you do have content on your site or you want to add new pages, you want to update some content, don't worry about the core update, because that's stuff you should do anyways if it makes sense. If it's already in your plan as something to do, still do it. And that's always, if you do get hit by these updates, you're going to have to work on your content, improve the quality of your content. Add some more, but focus mostly on quality, not volume. We've said this a million times. Nobody listening wants me to go over all this again, I don't think, especially if you've listened to a lot of our episodes. But yeah, quality content is really the answer to most of these core updates, unless we learn otherwise. At this point, we don't know otherwise. We don't know if this update is affecting anything else other than sort of the normal kind of stuff. In addition to this core update, there was a ranking bug at Google recently. So this is kind of fun. You got to love bugs. And we always often talk about how we should have a bug report section in SEO 101 because there seem to be bugs all the time, usually related to local or Search Console. This one was actually in the search ranking, so that's a bit more on the rare side. This bug was impacting search results between August 15th and August 20th. It surfaced on the 15th, and it impacted a large number of search results. So this is not a small bug from the sounds of things. There's not a lot of information out about it at the moment, but it was a pretty big deal. Google identified the issue and began working on a fix. It did take several days, so 5 days till August 20th. That's a long time. So if you did notice during that 5-day, 6-day window, any kind of drop in rankings or traffic, there's a very good chance that it was connected to this bug. Likewise, you might have seen a spike in traffic over those 5 days. If the bug impacted your competitors but not you, maybe you got a bit of a win out of it. So I wouldn't look too heavily into any data between the 15th and the 20th in terms of analyzing what is going on there, because it could be bug related that skewed everything. So just keep that in mind. John Mueller did note that this bug is not connected to the latest core update that's rolling out. It was a completely separate issue. So just keep that in mind if it comes up or you need to know. And now we've got a little bit more about Google AI overviews. So this is not a big deal necessarily, but Google AI overviews are now showing for signed out users in the US. So if you are in the US and you are logged out of your Google account, you can still see AI overviews. They're also showing up in incognito mode. And in addition, actually, AI overviews have now been expanded and they've been rolled out for the UK, India, Japan, Indonesia, Mexico, and Brazil. So, what I find kind of interesting about this is that I actually didn't realize that you had to be signed in to see Google AI overviews, simply because I'm always signed in. I've basically never logged out of Google when I'm doing a search. So, this could actually be a good thing if your site is fortunate enough to have citations in a lot of these AI overviews. You're getting traffic through that. Having that now be expanded to people who are not logged in might result in some extra traffic to your site. Now, that said, I don't know what percentage of people using Google are logged in versus not logged in. This is something I tried to look up. I did some searches and some digging trying to get some numbers on that, and I really couldn't find anything useful at all. I even reverted to AI and I asked ChatGPT, hey, what's the deal? How many people are logged in at Google when searching? And the AI even told me Google doesn't release this data, and it was not helpful. I was kind of thinking, well, maybe AI can find that data for me. So no, they could not. So that's kind of sad. I was hoping there'd be some hardcore stats related to that so we could maybe get an idea of what kind of impact this is really going to have. But hopefully we'll see that in upcoming posts from Google from Google, data from Google, and see some articles in Search Engine Land and some of those places that maybe reflect how AI is expanding, and maybe we can get some insight into how that played out. So yeah, let's take a quick break. The show is probably going to be a bit shorter than normal just because I'm on my own, and I think I speak a little bit quicker than Ross does. So maybe I need to talk slower. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to discuss how long people will wait for your website to load, according to a recent Forbes survey. So stick around for that.
SEO 101 will be back right after recess.
All right. Welcome back to SEO 101 on WMR.FM, hosted by myself, Scott Van Ack, Senior SEO at Step 4 Web Marketing. Ross is away on holidays, so you are stuck with just me today on my first ever solo show. I'm getting through it pretty quick, unfortunately. I need to slow down a bit, I think. But I'll get better if I do more solos. We'll see. Please go to Facebook in our SEO 101 group. Join if you haven't already, and let me know what you think, if I'm doing okay. I'm very open to constructive criticism, so, throw it all at me. Remember also, we do have a show notes newsletter you can sign up for at SEO101radio.com. Don't miss a single link and refresh your memory of past shows at any time. Before the break, we were discussing a few changes at AI overviews, and now let's see how long people will actually stay on your website. So there was a recent Forbes Advisor survey, where they surveyed 2,000 US adults and asked essentially, how long are you willing to wait for a website to load? So these numbers are not what I expected, actually, when I saw that there was a survey done about this. And well, let's go over them and see here. So 4% of those who responded, only 4%, said less than 3 seconds, which is really surprising. I'll get to that in a second why. 29% said 3 to 6 seconds, 7 to 10 seconds. 38% said they will wait up to 10 seconds. 14% said 11 to 14 seconds. Surprisingly, 10% will wait 15 seconds or more. I don't really wait that long. Some exceptions, I suppose. And 5% were unsure. The 15 seconds or more, I was thinking about this, and would I wait 15 seconds for a website to load? And I think the answer to that is, as always, it depends. So I'll give an example to that. If I do a random Google search for some random information, whatever that might be, and I land on a site and it's not loading within 10 to 15 seconds, like, I'm probably long gone by then. I've hit back. I'm going to the next result. But if I'm waiting for a site that I'm familiar with, so one good example might be a site called Harbor Chandler. They sell fishing gear and boating supplies, and I order a lot of my stuff from them because their customer service is awesome. They have a physical store I've been in. The people know their stuff. They're very helpful. Their shipping is incredibly fast. Their prices are good. They're just really, my go-to store. So if I go to their website, and this happens when they have big sales, sometimes it can take over a minute for their pages to load, which is not good at all. If you were a new person, you've never been to that site, you'd probably ditch long before you'd have a chance sometimes. In my case, because I know the site, I know what I want, I'm familiar with it, I'm willing to wait. So if you have an audience of established loyal customers that visit your site, your load time may be a little bit less important. If you rely on first time traffic constantly, maybe you don't get a lot of repeat visitors to your site, but you need those initial people coming in, that load time would definitely be more important because a lot of those people are probably just going to ditch. So historically, in our audits and when we're recommending things to clients, we say the 2 to 3 second load time mark or less is sort of ideal. In some situations, you could go a bit longer, maybe 5 seconds, we'll say sometimes, but not usually more than that. Back in 2010, so now we're going back 14 years, Google started pushing sort of the the 2 second rule. They wanted websites to load within 2 seconds. And that goes way back. Several years later, John Mueller recommended 3 seconds. So he was adding a second. Oh, great. You got a bit of leeway there. That was in 2016. And then in 2017, so just the next year, Google said the probability of bounce rate increases to 32% when load times increase from 1 to 3 seconds. So, that's notable. But at the same time, when I look at the stats from the survey, there's a high percentage of people that are willing to wait up to 10 seconds or even a bit longer. So I question the data. Surveys, of course, are always a little bit skewed. You've only got a small sampling of 2,000. Of course, Google is drawing from many, many millions of data points to get that information. So, you're okay. If you're loading a bit slower, but still, definitely push for under 5 seconds, under 3 if you want to listen to Google. Fast is always good. So just keep that in mind. Moving on next, this is kind of interesting. In the search results, Google has begun testing, highlighting some review content of search result snippets. So Barry Schwartz actually reported on a post from Amit Purohit. I'm probably saying that incorrectly, and I apologize, on LinkedIn. And he had noted that for review-oriented searches, for example, Ahrefs review, Google has been testing showing the snippet with the actual review or an actual review highlighted in light blue in the search results. This is something I have not been able to replicate when I've tested it. It's probably just a test in the US. I believe Barry even had said in his article that he couldn't replicate it either. So we'll see what happens. But so this may or may not become a permanent feature at Google. They're constantly testing little things here and there, and I would say the vast majority never come to light for most people searching, but some do. And a lot of it are these little tweaks to how the search results look. They're just like visual aesthetics, things like that. And, they just like to test stuff. Let's see what sticks. But this does show us one more reason why including customer reviews on your site may help increase your exposure a little bit in the search results. So if someone is doing a search for your business and they're looking for review-related content, if you have reviews posted to your site and they become highlighted in the search results, that's great. I mean, maybe it'll help let you stand out a little bit more. It's just something good to do. Get your reviews out there and post some of them to your site. They help. And I guess it's not really a Mueller file, a Martin split file. I don't know if we talk about Martin enough to have a whole section dedicated to him. Great guy, Martin. We had him on the show a few years back now. Maybe it's time to get him back on again. Martin, if you're listening, do you want to come back on? Let's see. Maybe we can bring you back one of these times. I'm sure Ross would love it. Martin from Google, he has a video series called SEO Made Easy. And he recently put out a new video in the last few days about discovered, currently not indexed. So we actually talked about this briefly at the beginning of the show. So he was saying there are basically 3 primary reasons why you get data listed there in Google Search Console. Why does Google find your URL and then not do anything with it? So the three issues are quality issues with those pages. And this is probably the number one reason for most people in most cases. If you have really thin content that just isn't good quality, Google doesn't want to index it. So they'll find it, they'll check it out and be like, no, we don't want to put that in the search results. Some examples of that can be blog tag pages often end up there because often people abuse the tag. They abuse tags in their blog and will have tags that are only applied once. Like I've seen sites with hundreds and hundreds of tags for only a handful of blog posts. So write a blog post and they'll put up a few dozen tags associated with that post, and a lot of those are never used again. So you end up with a vast number of tag pages on your site, each one having only a short snippet of one blog post and a link to that post. When that happens, there's really no reason for Google to index that because you can find all that information on, well, in some cases, many other tag pages. It may be duplicated. If you're using 10 tags on one blog post, you end up with 10 pages that are essentially identical. And that's not good. Google doesn't want to index those, and they shouldn't. So that's sort of the one issue. I mean, you may see that with category pages, blog category pages. You may see it with product category pages sometimes. I've seen that happen where a website has a category and maybe they only have a couple products in that page and their category page doesn't have any other content. So it's just a page with a link to a single product. In cases like that, those would often end up on pages like this. So you really want to make sure that your pages, at least the ones that are important to you, have good quality content. That will help get them indexed. So that's important. They may sometimes skip indexing those pages if your server is too slow for Googlebot. If you've got comes back to page speed times, right? If your server is really slow, Google's not going to do a great job of indexing it, especially if you have a large site. If you have a small site, you can get away with it. But if you've got thousands or maybe even millions of pages on your site, you need a fast, responsive server if you want that content, especially deeper level content, indexed. And of course, sometimes Google just needs more time. They've crawled or spidered some of your pages. They've got their list of all the pages they want to check out, and they just haven't gotten to it yet. It may have nothing to do with you. It's in Google's court, and give them a bit of time. If you find pages that are very important to you that have not been indexed, and these are not brand new pages that you just published, but pages that have been on your site for months, years, whatever. Maybe they've been there forever and Google just won't index them, but you want them indexed. Take a look at them and see what you can do to improve the quality. That's basically the number one way to get those pages indexed. You can also work on building inbound links to those pages. Make sure you're linking correctly to them throughout the navigation of your site, throughout your site content with inline links in blog content or within various blocks of text. And yeah, again, make sure the content is good. And then you should be able to get those indexed. And if you still can't, maybe there's a technical limitation or some other reason why Google doesn't like it. And you may need to do further investigation in that situation. So, and the same with canonicalized pages. Sometimes you'll see a page that, again, category pages are a prime candidate for this because it happens all the time. But if you have a page that has a canonical tag pointing somewhere else, that page shouldn't be indexed. And quite likely, the main page that it's canonicalized to is actually indexed properly. So if you see a page that you think is important, but make sure that it's the exact URL that you want indexed because it may not be the case. And finally, we have one fun little Mueller file. I feel bad for Ross. He doesn't get to say that. I think that's the highlight of his recordings when he can say the Mueller files. But yeah, it's me now. Sorry. So John Mueller has uploaded an audio robots.txt file. So this is kind of funny. This was over at SEO Roundtable, SE Roundtable. They posted this. So if you go to John Mueller's website at johnmu.com/robots.txt, you will get a WAV file of John simply reading out his robots.txt file. And he just is there. He's like, user agent, Googlebot, etc. And he just audibly reads out his WAV file. At first, I thought this was kind of a funny, silly thing. I cannot personally think of any reason why anybody would actually want to do this other than boredom or just trying to have some fun. Link bait, maybe, because a lot of people are linking to it. They're checking it out. And it works, right? People are talking. But interestingly enough, you can also view the source of his robots.txt, and you can see the content that he's reading out. So that brings up a little bit of a question, like, is he posting it as a WAV file, just testing to see if Google will parse that file? Will Google look at that WAV file and follow the rules within it? And I don't know. Maybe they will. I still don't know why you would want to do this, but it would be an interesting test to see, like, does Google obey it if it's an audio file? And I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But who knows? I don't know that I would waste my time trying to set one of these up. But if you're bored and you're wondering, oh, what should I do today? And you don't feel like working on quality content or link building or anything like that, which is really what you should be doing, and you want to play, give it a try and see, or check out John's file. Again, johnmoo.com/robots.txt is kind of funny. It's worth a couple minutes to listen to, at least part of it, for no real reason, I guess. So anyways, that's the show today. Hopefully you're happy with how I did as myself, by myself. Made for a bit of a shorter show than usual, I believe, but hopefully a decent one. Hopefully I packed in enough in there for you. So on behalf of Ross, who's busy having fun right now, and myself, Scott Van Ack, Senior SEO at Stepforth Web Marketing, thank you for joining me today. And remember, we do have the show notes newsletter, which you can sign up for at SEO101radio.com. Again, if you enjoyed the show, I would appreciate any feedback, especially on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast stream. We're literally everywhere, and we do listen to your feedback. I would also like personal feedback on our SEO 101 Facebook group. If you want to tell me how I did, like, what did you like about the show with just Scott, the Scott Show? What didn't you like? Anyways, have a great week, and remember to tune into future episodes, which air every week on WMR.fm. Thank you for listening, everybody.